Boom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's office hours. As usual, we have a very packed and interesting agenda. And if this is your first office hour or you are watching it for the first time in some other place, office hours are a place where we come together as a flow community and discuss cool projects, answer questions, and they happen on our Discord. So discord.gg/flow. They happen every Thursday at 8 a.m. PST. And yeah, join in the office hours voice chat. But if you're watching from YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, then hello. But if you want to ask questions live, then you should probably join in the Discord. Awesome. So before we get started, just want to, as usual, introduce the team real quick so everyone knows who you're speaking to. We have our dev avocados, Kim and Bruno and myself. We have community managers, Carol and Trey, cadence experts, Josh, Bastian, and Satyam. Sorry, my screen is really small today. Okay, I made it bigger. No, sorry, it's my fault. We have our Flow client library and SDK engineers, Greg, Chase, Max, Gregor, and Yanez. Our DevX team, Srinjoy, Mac, Pete, Morton, and Alex. Albert from Solutions Engineering, who has a heart next to his face. For good reason, And we have our product marketing manager, David. So if you missed anyone or you want to reach out to someone in particular, the FigJam board is shared at the end of every office hour. And yeah, feel free to reach out on Discord. Well, yeah, sorry. One thing I forgot to mention is we have a bit like a Slido. So that purple circle you see bit.ly/OH-April APR 14, which will probably be shared in the office hours text chat as well. That's where you can submit any questions. So this voice chat is set to push to talk. So if you do want to speak up, feel free to speak up anytime you want. So this definitely is an interactive session. However, it is set to push to talk, meaning you can't just unmute and speak. You have to push specific button based on your settings. But if you don't want to talk and just want to submit a question, then you can do it via Slido. So click on that link and you can submit a question and we will be answering them live and monitoring them. Cool. So agenda for today. We have 2 project highlights and we probably will have time today for the breakout rooms. Let's see. But the 2 project highlights for today are Published NFT, a Web3 ebook publishing platform, and Celer Network. So without further ado, let's get started with Published NFT. Mike, do you want to walk us through it? Come.
Oh,
Hey,
hey, I'm sorry. I just lost connection for a second there.
no problem.
Yep. Okay, it was right when you were introducing me, I lost connection, so I didn't hear exactly
It's a
what you were saying.
classic. Oh,
Yeah.
I was just saying, do you want to walk us through what your project is?
Okay, so what we're doing is a Web3 ebook platform we're building on Flow. It's basically so you can publish your books on the blockchain, ebooks. So same concept as any other NFT. We're turning ebooks into NFTs so that they have more value and more utility. I would say like, okay, there's no ebook platform you can go to today and you can buy, sell, trade, or gift or transfer your ebooks. You have to just buy them and basically they get stuck in an account. They're stuck there forever. So what we're changing is from Web 2 to Web 3. We're not really doing any rocket science here. We're just making technology better in hopes that it runs the same and seamlessly in the background. Users use it.
Cool. And at what step of the process is Published NFT? Is it still being worked on? Is it launched?
Oh,
What's the
we
current
actually
status?
launched yesterday. We launched the page, so we are live with the beta. We are having a release today with the library pass. We're having an NFT library pass release, and the pass gives you access to all the ebooks ever released on the platform for life. It gives you early access to Mint, membership airdrops, early access to our metaverse museum that we have that we're working on, and we're working on that in Unreal. Outside of that, yes, we are live and getting ready to start releasing books within a couple of weeks.
So, and yeah, so I think I missed it at the beginning, but do you mind walking us through like how you used the blockchain to kind of make a Web3 version of a publishing platform?
Okay, so what we did was we learned NFTs. I've been in NFTs for a very long time and stuff like that, back since 2017, and when I was getting into crypto kitties and Decentraland and things like that, and learning what the ERC 720 was and how royalties work and everything. So then that's when we got in the flow of blockchain, realized it's an NFT based platform, and I like the validator system that you guys were using. So we went and built with but the basically with the ebooks, I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to understand with the ebooks.
Yeah, just how the blockchain is applied. So if it's I'm just
The
curious.
difference between it is Web 2 and Web 3. So on Web 2, you can't do anything with ebooks at all. You can't do anything except buy them and then store them in your account, and they basically are just stuck there forever. So they have no value. If when we release books, they'll have a mint number. There'll be a certain amount of release of books, and then those books will be purchased by users. And those users and then own those books, rent them out, buy them, sell them, trade them around, and do things like that. Like today, if I were to buy an ebook and say, hey, I want to gift it and send it to you, read this book and send it to my buddy, it's impossible without Web3 technology.
Yeah, it
NFTs
definitely opens up. Yeah,
it
it
turns
definitely
ebooks into
opens up
like
a lot more. Sorry.
yeah, I feel like the book market was closed in a lot when ebooks came out because of the fact that you don't have any real ownership. You don't really feel any ownership when you buy ebooks, and that's why the hard copy market is still so large, because people still feel ownership when they actually get done reading it and you have something after it.
Mm-hmm.
With ebooks on the blockchain, I have utility like physical books in real life, basically.
Awesome. So we have a couple questions come in. One of them is, are you planning partnerships with major publishers?
Yes, we are partnering with publishers. We have been talking to a lot of people. We have contracts already signed. We have things that we're getting ready to release. We're doing a lot of different kind of NFTs. All of our NFTs have value and utility right away. When you buy a book, basically, you're buying it so you can read it. So it has utility right off the top. It's not like like a video game, a promise, or any type of art collection. It's a actual project for longevity, scalability, and longevity. We're trying to build out for a long time. It's a system that there's millions of authors that want to get their words out there that can't. And authors aren't really in the NFTs at the moment. It's more of a sports, athlete, entertainment type of thing right now. And it's inevitable that ebooks will become NFTs. Everything digital basically will become NFTs. I just feel like ebooks probably be one of the biggest markets in the NFT market, because it has so much potential. It's just that it's on the web too, Kindle and iBooks, you can't really do much.
Got it. Someone brings up an interesting point, which is very, yeah, in the Web3 philosophy, which is I heard some authors are creating one-of-one ebooks. So going back to your point about, books having a mint number. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on single owner books?
Single owner books would be more like a journal, a diary, a personal book, a private book release. When books are released, I wouldn't say that you would do a one-of-one, because when you print books in real life, you don't just print one, so because multiple people need them. So you have to own the NFT to view the actual ebook. So you would need users to own multiple ebooks, basically. And when you do a book release, you would have a certain mint number. It could be 100,000, it could be 30,000, it could be 10,000. But then you can sell your books at a price that they actually go for, $5, $7, things like that. You do a one-on-one auction, the book could cost $1 million, and it's only one person that owns it and has the ability to view it.
Got it.
But the capabilities of one-on-ones auctions are possible on a platform, but it would have to be more of something personal from a person, I'll say.
Yeah, it also makes sense, right? Like a journal is personal, therefore can only be of one person. So yeah. And
Yeah.
how do you read the books on your platform? What formats are they in? And how can readers read them?
You can read them there in regular ebook format and PDF file. It's stored on IPFS, so you can't have access to it without having owning the NFT. So that's how you would read the books, right on the page. You would go to the reader and just click it and open it, and your book would open. If you own a library pass, you wouldn't have to own any books. You can go anywhere and click any book and open it if you own a library pass.
Yeah, actually, we had a question come in about libraries, which is the question is how about public libraries coming out with digital rentals services? What's the difference? I know you kind of touched
This,
upon it at the beginning, but yeah, if you can go a little bit more into
well,
detail.
this decentralizes libraries in a way. It turns the user and any individual into their own library, because you can collect as many books as you like, or you can store as many books as you please, and you can rent those books out, and you can trade them, this and that. But basically, the renting protocol alone will let you have passive income for just books that you own. So basically, everyone can become their own bookstore or library depending on what you own. Also, the accounts work in certain ways where the user, or not just the user, can rent out the books, but they actually can release a pass for their account for users to have access to their account.
Cool. Last question, and is what about royalties for authors?
Royalties for authors would be at 10%, 10% on resale, secondary marketplaces and third-party marketplaces like Blockto, things like that.
Cool. All right. Then there's a question around CryptoKitties, which we can probably answer later, in the once we break out, and trying to look for. I think one other question was what challenges were you trying to solve for in the ebook space with that requires Web3, but I think you already answered that earlier.
Yeah, basically with scalability and things like that, and changing the full ebook market basically forever. It will convert it completely. The ebook market today is basically just that. It's not any value in it.
And sorry, last question that just came in is how do we connect to other people and thus their library? Is there a central database to access content?
Yes, you would go to our website, publishnft.io, and you can interact with everything there, the books, be able to track your authors and communicate. And there's other things that we're doing too with the metaverse. So there's a lot more things we're doing than just ebooks and everything, but it's all built together and it all involves each other.
Cool. All right. So what can people do to get involved with your project?
Well, if you want to publish any work or anything, you can come on over and sign up, fill out a form, and the team will review everything, check it out, and we can publish your work and get you right on the blockchain and release an ebook or any type of art, or we even do NFT bookmarks. We have some kind of NFTs, KYC NFTs, subscription NFTs. We can even release, like we have magazines coming out with 1 month subscription NFTs that'll be coming out with them. And you can either buy the book or you can get the subscription NFT, which will give you airdrops monthly, or there's different ways and a bunch of different kind of releases, a lot of different content that we're into, but it's all got to do with print mostly. And, articles, newspapers, books, comic books, things of that sort, anything in print. That's what we meant.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for sharing your project. And everyone, if you're in the publishing world, make sure to check out publishednft.io and try and publish your first book and mint editorial NFTs. Thanks for sharing us and walking us through your project.
No problem.
All right. Cool. So let's move on to our second agenda item. Mo, talking about Celer. Mo, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Hey guys, great to be here. Happy to talk about what we have been working on Flow and also like what's coming up in the next couple of months as well. So let me just maybe quickly share my screen. Maybe that's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, did it work?
Yes, working great.
Awesome. So first, a quick introduction about Celer. Celer is a blockchain interoperability platform that is very generalized. It can support asset bridging, of course, but also like generalized message function. It's generalized message passing between different blockchains, and also like build intelligence in this middle layer. So basically, we are able to merge all of the different blockchains states together, and also like merge all the liquidity as a unified liquidity. So of course, Celer first and foremost has the functionality to do asset bridging as the essentially first application of the generalized cross-chain platform. The cross-chain bridging side of things is growing really faster these days. We just passed like $6.1 billion transaction volume in the last 6 months, and on a daily basis we process about 50 to like $100 million volume basically. And right now we have processed we have been used by 133K different unique users. And the value logged in our system is about $730 million. So, on the Cbridge side is growing really quickly. What Cbridge enables is really connect all these different blockchains. We have 27 different blockchain support that allows assets to move freely between different blockchains. But Celer is a lot more than just asset bridges. So Celer actually have the capability to build interchain native applications, things like cross-chain swaps, where you can have just a one-click user experience to swap from X token on A chain to Y token on B chain, or you can have like a NFT bridging, of course, but also like very exciting things like NFT marketplaces that are multi-chain native. That is, if you list an NFT on one chain, for example, if you list an NFT on Flow, users on other chains can just like directly buy that NFT without even having a Flow-based wallet. And there are other things like multi-chain yield aggregator, where like you can have your yield aggregator access all the different strategies from one chain to all the other different chains and move funds freely. And like you can have a multi-chain governance where your community can vote using your governance token that is bridged across multiple chains, and then the governance decision can be aggregated together and then propagated back to each and every individual chains. So there are a lot of different applications and protocols that are building on top of the very, very generalized interchain message framework. And everything in the Celer's in Celer is like highly composable. You basically can compose one interchain app with another interchain app. An example of that is that you can, for example, you can say, okay, I want to bridge $100 from Ethereum to Flow, and I want to use that $100 for something, right? So I want to use that $100 to purchase the NFT, and you are essentially composing the C-Bridge's asset bridging functionality with a new kind of, let's say, NFT marketplace app where you're using that bridged fund to actually act and execute certain kind of transactions on the destination chain. So so that's basically what we built. For Flow blockchain, in the first step, we start with like the most important thing, which is asset bridge, which is also the first step, right? So like we support asset bridge in and out of Flow. So like if you have a Flow based token that are issued inside of the Flow ecosystem, we can actually help you to bridge that token, from Flow to all the other different blockchain ecosystem. It makes things easy for you guys to kind of support. If you want to kind of add liquidity in some other DEXs in the space, if you want to add liquidity in some lending protocols, if you want to see if it is easier to make it easier for centralized exchange listings, for example. These things can be helpful if you have a way to bridge your token from like Flow to ERC20 format. Of course, another very, very important thing that we enable using this asset bridge integration with Flow is that now a lot of different blockchains like Ethereum, Matic, Avalanche, and all these other different blockchains can actually start to bridge funds into Flow, right? So, for example, you can bridge wrapped ETH, Tether, DAI, wrapped BTC, all to Flow like with a very simple user interface. And by the way, this entire user interface is also like very composable. You can actually have this user interface built into your application without actually having the user to go out to the C-Bridge website. So, from user perspective, if they have the way to kind of have their recipient address, and in this case, we're connected with Blockto, and, they can just say, oh, I want to kind of bridge this 0.05 USD wrapped ETH into Flow. They can just like do that very easily. And then after that, after this bridging is done, the user will see their 0.5 it says this transaction is done, and you can see what's the status of this transaction. And once the transaction is completed, the user will receive the bridged wrapped ETH in their wallet. What this means is that this actually opens a lot of use cases like DeFi applications on top of Flow. If you want to have like some other blue chip tokens to pair with Flow in the Flow native DEXs. And we are collaborating with multiple of these DEX builders as well, like MetaPeer, like Increment Finance. They can actually have the liquidity pool build for things like Flow versus wrapped ETH, Flow versus USDT, Flow versus DAI, and all these different other kind of liquidity pools and lending protocols and yield aggregators can start to build and pop up on the Flow ecosystem with this Flow chip token, and also like help to boost the Flow's TVL in general. Of course, that also enables outside users, outside of Flow, to actually interact and potentially purchase Flow based assets, right? So like if someone from Ethereum community mostly holds ETH, can start to use their ETH to directly purchase flow-based NFTs like NBA legendary cards and all these kind of exciting and interesting NFT projects. So it can be kind of accessed for users that doesn't have the Flow token yet and doesn't have the FUSD token yet, to allow like all the different community to kind of onboard into Flow. So it's really kind of a way to help the ecosystem project on Flow to expand into multiple chains, but also at the same time bring users and liquidity from other different blockchains into Flow. So that's the first step that we did with the Flow blockchain. Now the second part, of course, is that what Flow is really good for is NFT, right? So like however, there is no good way to bridge Flow-based NFT into a ERC 721 or ERC 1155 representation, and vice versa. So like we're also enabling that functionality in the coming months. So that like users and holders of NBA Top Shots can actually bridge their NFT out of Flow to access like a liquidity and NFT marketplaces in all these other different ecosystems to kind of seek for maybe the best price to sell or like the most audiences to display their Flow-based NFT as well. And of course, all of this is like built on top of the interchain message framework. And with all these supported users will be able to also build and integrate Flow into their developers will be able to integrate Flow into their interchain native dApps. So like they can have the capability to allow things like cross-chain yield aggregator, cross-chain NFT bidding, cross-chain governance, and all these other exciting application use cases that I just mentioned. So that's just a kind of a quick introduction of us and what we have done in Flow ecosystem. Looking forward to kind of collaborate with a lot of different projects. If you're interested in using assets outside of Flow ecosystem, if you're interested in bridging your assets out of Flow ecosystem, we are the right team to talk to. And the entire bridge is fully non-custodial. There's no custodial component in it. It's a highly secure build based on a blockchain architecture itself. And of course, like I saw in the chat, there's a mention of bug bounty. We have like $2 million standing bug bounty there. The Flow component is not included in this bug bounty yet, but it will soon be. We're still in the alpha bootstrap phase of Flow because like Flow integration is really new to us there. So there are some limits in terms of rate limiting and everything to make sure that it's a smooth launch. And we're also like asking more security auditing firms to look at the code on the Cadence side. But like hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we can complete many of the rest of the auditing processes, and also like include Flow-based smart contract in the $2 million bug bounty. So so that's just a quick introduction about us and what we have been building.
Awesome. Thanks, Mo. Awesome work. We have a couple questions for you. It's great that you already answered the bug bounty one. I know Blue Sun was curious about the bug bounty. So you mentioned that it's going to be more or less live in a couple weeks, more or less, or a bit longer?
Yeah. Like we still have because Flow integration is relatively new, so we want to get as many eyes as possible from the security auditing firms on the Flow based implementation. So like so there are still a couple of audits that is pending. But like once we have all those out, we will be kind of including this into a more public bug bounty on the for the Flow portion basically.
Cool, awesome. So another question is by Phil. He loves the work that you're doing, and he's been following since the Flow Partner Spotlight. He'd love to see the Flow contracts that you're using to power, Seabridge and the general flow side of things with Celer. Are they available? I mean, apart from on-chain, but do you have a repository where they're easy to kind of find and browse through?
Yeah. So if you go to our GitHub, you will be able to find the token contract for Flow, and also because and there's a documentation section in our Cbridge docs, and if you search for Flow contract, you will be able to see those contract addresses as well.
Cool. And then here's technically a criticism, but I think it should be the other way around. So here it says, you should be more involved with the Flow community because, throughout the presentation, he mainly talks about Top Shots while Flow is bigger. That Flow is definitely bigger, but I also, encourage everyone from the Flow community to reach out to Celer and make sure that, you're integrating or using their services. I think Top Shot is just an easy example to reference because it's pretty much top of mind. So I wouldn't see this as I don't think that Mo and his team are only thinking about Top Shot. They're thinking about the whole Flow community. It's just a matter of, if you're interested in DeFi applications, if you want to use Cbridge or the multi-chain framework that they're building, then definitely kind of reach out to them, make yourself known across the community. I think you're supporting something like 23 chains, you said, so it's kind of hard to dive super deep into the community of each one. So it really should be on us to be proactive. And
and just to highlight some of our amazing launch partners who are kind of already integrating with us. For example, Metapeer, AMM DAX, Increment Finance, lending protocol, and also like DeFi Suite, Floaty, Mental Finance, My NFT, Cheese, Record Shop, and all these different kind of ecosystem partners are partnering with us, and they're absolutely awesome. So we definitely look forward to kind of work with more ecosystem partners in the Flow community as well.
Awesome. And that brings us to the next question, which is, do you mind explaining a little bit by why having a DEX like Metapeer or IncrementFi matters, or how it can be useful for users as well as projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think Flow right now doesn't really have like a non-custodial, DeFi ecosystem yet. So, which is something that I think it can be extremely valuable addition for the entire community, right? So, if for every blockchain right now, there is a DeFi ecosystem, and this allows people to have a non-custodial way to kind of trade assets in the blockchain. It doesn't have to kind of rely on centralized exchanges to gain liquidity and launch project into the ecosystem, like using IDO platforms and stuff like that. So this is why that we think having the capability or enabling more liquidity for the entire Flow ecosystem, the Flow issuer tokens can be super crucial. And this is also what we heard from many of the users as well. So that's why now we're enabling this kind of a bridging capability to support and integrate and partner with all these other DeFi ecosystem. So very exciting things it had. That is, you will start to see a very full-fledged Flow-based DeFi ecosystem that is enabled by the Celer Cbridge.
Cool. We have also question. So we have 3 more questions. The first one, which is more related to Cbridge specifically, and the other 2 questions are a bit more general. I think people are curious to pick your brain about the general, DeFi and Flow thing. But the first one is, how does Cbridge relate to other interchain messaging? For example, Polkadot's peer-to-peer or IBC.
Yeah, absolutely. So Polkadot peer-to-peer and IBC are just for Polkadot and the IBC, like Cosmos ecosystems. So Celer is a much more generalized protocol that connects to all of these different chains. Not only just we support Polkadot ecosystem as well, we support Cosmos ecosystem as well. But we also support EVM and other non-EVM supported blockchains. Another thing that I want to highlight, this might get down to a little bit more technical detail here, is that compared to all the other interoperability protocols, Celer is not just about passing information around different chains, right? So like, you have this big class of, interoperability protocol where you're just having a message from chain A and pass that information from chain B, however you pass it. But like Celer is much more than that, because like in the beating heart of Celer, there is something called a state guardian network, which is in itself is actually a blockchain, a full-fledged blockchain. You can actually build logics on top of this blockchain, where a message from chain A can pass through this chain and execute logics on top of it. And based on like all the available information it has, by like overlooking all the other different chains, and then kind of transform this message and pass it on to the destination chain or a different chain or multiple different chains. So this is a kind of functionality that doesn't really, isn't really available in all the other interoperability platform. And what this means is that you can have a much higher liquidity efficiency in the liquidity in building liquidity protocols, and also like support of cross-chain asset management use cases, cross-chain governance use cases, and many more, to have like just much more efficient like interaction between different chains.
Super cool. This is the start of a chainception, chain within the chain within the chain.
That's right.
So, yeah. Well, while we're on the DeFi subject, so someone's curious to get your thoughts on, what are your views about DeFi on Flow?
It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it's our view. So, DeFi on Flow is not there yet, and I think much of this is because of like the overall ecosystem on the DeFi side is new and doesn't have the bridged assets available. So we're definitely enabling that. So like you will start to see a full-fledged like lending protocol, AMM, DEX, yield aggregators, and all these different flavors to DeFi to build out a very, very complete DeFi ecosystem on Flow is what we are hoping to help the entire Flow community to build. And we think that can be super valuable.
Well, great to hear. And yeah, very much looking forward to the DeFi space becoming more and more rich with tools and features on the DeFi side. Do you use any oracles for Flow?
No.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I kind of guess that it's all done, through the inter-chain messaging and okay, cool. And yeah, last question, promise. What do you think are the biggest challenges that Flow faces today? Very general question.
The biggest challenge that Flow faces today, like I think, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, like because like what we have been seeing on the Flow community and also like Flow ecosystem is that it has a huge amount of users. It has like a very, very large traction inside and outside of the crypto ecosystem. So like what we see is more like opportunity, basically. Like what's left there to be done, what we can help, right? So like I think enabling DeFi ecosystem on Flow is something that is a very, very good opportunity for Flow to grow and also for us to grow together. And also like things like NFT bridging to enable the already very, very large audiences and community of Flow to kind of expose their assets on Flow to other ecosystems, other blockchain ecosystems, and gain more liquidity and gain more traction is the opportunity that we see. And I think this is the opportunity generally applies to any blockchains, but like for Flow, I think like the good thing here is that the user problem is already solved. There are millions of users are actively engaging in the application in Flow. We just need to kind of build the tunnels, like build the bridges, build the communication highway between Flow and all the other different chains to kind of enable a very, very efficient liquidity flow and a very, very efficient like a user onboarding process from other ecosystem to Flow as well.
Cool. I totally agree. Uh, Opportunity is the keyword here, and great to to see how much Celer is contributing to building out those tunnels and highways. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Mo, for taking the time to answer all these questions. Before we
Yeah.
continue with general questions, and please feel free both to comment Mo to stick around for the rest of the office hours because we might get some last questions come in. But we will now split up. So if you have cadence questions, Satyam will be in the cadence breakout room. So for anything cadence, feel free to go to the cadence voice chat right under this one. And Satyam will be there to answer your questions. And if you have FCL or SDK related questions, I know, for example, BZ, you have questions around non-custodial transaction auth and how to create a dev wallet for mainnet and testnet, not just the emulator. Well, that's a perfect question for the SDK and FCL channel. So some of the SDK and FCL engineers will be in that voice channel as well. So from this point on, this main channel will be around, just community highlights and general updates and general questions. If you have cadence or more technical SDK/FCL questions, please go to the dedicated voice chats so that, you can ask your questions and get your answers. Cool. Then one community highlight that we didn't mention last week, but that is super cool, is that GitHub has officially added cadence to the known languages, meaning that if you've been coding in cadence in the past months or in the past years, then you will have noticed that on GitHub, the cadence files didn't really highlight properly, especially the .cdc files. Well, that's changed as of last week. And cadence is now an official GitHub language. So yay. Awesome. And this will really help kind of get the repos more cadence recognition as well as make it easier to browse code on GitHub. Cool. Then we have a question around that's been on the Slido since the beginning around CryptoKitties. It represents the cornerstone of Flow's success. Well, the funny thing is that CryptoKitties was actually created on Ethereum. So, it was a project built on Ethereum, and it may or may not come to Flow. Well, I think but so stay tuned for what the plans for CryptoKitties are. But it was born as an Ethereum project, so it's definitely not the cornerstone to Flow success. What is a cornerstone to Flow success are all of your projects. So don't stand around waiting for CryptoKitties. Go build great projects, and let's all make Flow successful together. Cool. So we got that sorted. We got BZ. I see BZ joined the SDK and FCL channel. So I'm assuming he's going to ask his question there. So Carol, do we have any other community highlights to cover in these last 15 minutes?
Yes, we have so much great news. Let me just bring it up. Obviously Celer Network, but they're coming out with a bunch of other partnerships. Like I said, Record Shop is going to be one of them. I can't wait to announce more from that. But we do have a lot more like offerings for DeFi on Flow. And like I said, it means that we're creating an infrastructure for more projects to be able to build on Flow. So I'm very excited about that. And
We lost Carol.
You went on mute, I think, Carol.
Might have some audio issues. While Carol sorts out her audio issues, I will briefly mention, I know everyone is dying to know if this week there is a float to claim. This week, we will not have a float. So as mentioned last week, we will have, a float to claim every so often. So you'll have to join every office hour to see if there will be a float or not. And, in a couple months, for those of you who have all of the office hour floats, we may have special prizes. So this week, we won't have a float, but maybe next week.
Sorry, I had technical issues there.
No problem.
The only time I have to talk. I think it should be noted that floats can now be paid floats in Flow
Yeah.
as well, which is really awesome. So it can act like a ticket for something, or you can have your own NFTs on there. I can think of so many possibilities for events.
Yeah, actually, I have a great community story that was evolving that evolved in the last couple days. So Jimbo from the Flow community, he noticed that Harley, which is another member of the Flow community who lives in the Philippines, had I think her village was crashed by a storm. So Jimbo, as soon as paid floats launched, he created the first ever paid float, and it was a 2 flow paid float as a relief fund. So everyone chimed in, and all of the proceeds of that paid float were sent to Harley, which were used immediately to buy generators for the village as well as food supplies. So it's all unfolding on Twitter, and it's a great story, and it's a great use case for paid floats. And big props to Jimbo for making it happen and organizing everything.
Jimbo's awesome. I think I don't know how much they raised, but last time I checked was like over 1,000 flows so far. Was it 1,000?
Dollars.
Okay, sorry.
They claimed 95 floats were claimed. So 190 flow. So around, more or less, $1,000, but that goes a long way. And purely organic grassroots, just people chiming in to help, and it's making a big difference already. There's Harley is updating everyone on Twitter with like videos of buying the generators, getting the food supplies, and it's already making a huge difference. So
thanks, Bruno. Showing it here.
I couldn't think of a better way to use floats, or paid floats at least.
Yeah, so Bruno gave us a tweet here.
Yeah, and if you want to help out, this is not like it's ended. I will paste the float. Yeah, let me just check that I have the event. Yes, I have the event. If you want to help Harley out, then you can claim this float. And I think it also, if you're part of the Rooms Discord, it also gives you can verify it via Emerald Bot, and it'll give you access to a special giveaway channel as a thank you on the Rooms Discord. And Ralph's, absolutely, you can create an event like this in your community. Floats are completely open and accessible to anyone, so you can create any event you want, and people can claim it. And you can decide whether it's free or paid, or it's entirely up to you.
Nice. I wanted to mention that we're doing a community-run Telegram AMA with my NFT. So, like I said, a lot of excitement in the DeFi space. So, my NFT just started their voting, their first community vote. So, you can use your My tokens to vote on the next creators you want to support, and who, depending on, at the end, everyone gets shared tokens once the vote is complete. So it's just really nice to see like new developments in the ecosystem and emerging tokenomics on our platform. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And they're going to be giving away my tokens to the first to a random 20 users. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to promote it on the Flow Twitter today, right after this. So make sure you join the community Telegram tomorrow.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
also, Zigazoo just launched on Flow. Their last, the Nyla Hayes drop. I'm sure for those of you who have kids, you'll recognize these names. The Nyla Hayes long necky ladies and the Coco Melon And the Quick Way launch drops will be coming out in the next week. But the Nyla Haze one's just sold out. It sold out in like less than a day. So Coco Melon, I think, is also a really big one. I personally don't watch it, but I've seen my nieces and nephews be obsessed with this. So that drop is happening soon as well if you want to go check it out. It's our first foray into the family-friendly NFT space. And their platform is really about educating families on how to talk about Web3, how to talk about NFTs to your kids, because, it's coming up and they're going to become more educated than you. So you need to be able to have those conversations with them. That's it for me.
Awesome. And in the time that you were talking, 4 more relief floats were claimed. So.
Oh, wow. Our community is
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. Cool. So we have 9 minutes left. Anyone have any questions or topics they wanted to cover or raise? Oh, can you elaborate on what are floats? Absolutely. So floats. If you go to floats.city, so first of all, if you've ever heard of proof of attendance, then that's what they are for Flow. If you've never heard of proof of attendance, then what it means is it's a NFT that you can claim as a proof of having been part of an event, whether that event is virtual, in person, or just an initiative, or just anything. And how it works is the creator or organizer of an event or of an initiative creates a float event, right? Such as the relief rooms that were linked in the office hours chat and that was talked about earlier. And anyone can create an event, right? So let's say you're organizing a meetup on Flow in your local city, and you want to give something to people who join that meetup so that they have proof that they were part of that meetup. And maybe you can do some activations down the line, or you want to make them feel like they're part of a special group. Then you can create a float, and you can add constraints to that, to claiming of that float, right? And creating a float is really just like setting a title, a picture to commemorate that float, and deciding the settings, which can be that it can be claimed by anyone, or it can be claimed only by specific addresses that you choose, or it needs a secret claim code. So at your meetup, you would give out the link and you would say, hey, for the next 2 hours, you can claim this float, and the special code is my secret meetup, and people can claim that NFT and have it in their wallet and have it as a proof of having participated in that meetup. And then no one else can ever claim it again. And you may wonder, well, okay, that's cool, but how do I, what's the practicality of it? Well, in a way, there's a lot of practicality, because other than having the bragging rights of having been to that event, you can use that float and compose on top of it, right? So what's already happening is some projects are giving out floats. For example, Flowverse, every AMA they do, they've started giving out floats for people who participate in their AMAs. And if you collect a certain amount of floats from their AMAs, then that gives you access to certain, potential giveaways. As I mentioned, Jimbo, who created the relief float that we talked about earlier, he has a special channel on the Rooms Discord where if you have participated in the Harley Relief Fund, then that gives you special access to a Discord channel. All of this is done via Emerald ID and Emerald Bot, which is a bot that is also created by Emerald DAO, which allows you to verify token holdings. And since floats are essentially, well, they are literally NFTs, because they adhere to the NFT metadata. They adhere to the NFT standard and the NFT metadata standard. You can kind of use them as you would any NFT, except that anyone can create a float and anyone can claim the float as long as they respect the rules that the creator outlined. So the time limits, the secret code, whether it's paid or not, it's up to the creator to decide, really. So it really is a general purpose tool. So I know this was a very long explanation. Hopefully it was exhaustive. And if you were around in the previous office hours, you can check out the recording. I don't think we were recording maybe, but last office hour, we had a great time because after office hours ended, we noticed that, some people were sticking around, maybe like 5 or 6 people. And so I decided, hey, let's create a float for office hours after hours, right? Like an office hours after party. And so I started creating the float live. And by the time we were done creating the float, more or less 20 people had joined. And all of those people received the after hours float. And now they're part of the office hours after party group. And next time we have an office hours that goes over, I'll reopen claiming to that special float. And anyone who sticks around will get that, will be able to claim that special float. So really it is just a way to kind of engage with the community and kind of, have a proof of attendance in several ways. So Carol now is showing the interface. If the live feed kind of shows you what floats are being claimed live. So right now there's 413 events created and 66,147 floats claimed. But if you go back to the float homepage, oh, there's a float being claimed right now. Yeah. If you go to the float homepage and you go to create an event, you see you just select the name. You can link to a specific URL if you want. You add a description. You can upload an image, and then you can just choose the various options. Hey, is it claimable, meaning that anyone can click the claim button, or is it not claimable, meaning that you have to manually award the float to people? Is it of limited quantity, or is it unlimited quantity? Does it have a time limit, and you can choose when it starts and when it ends? Can anyone claim, or is there like a secret code that needs to be used? Is it free, or does it require a flow payment? And advanced options are, do you want to mint on behalf of another account, which is, you first have to give permissions to that account, but it makes it possible for multiple accounts to mint on behalf of let's say a project account. A whole team can create floats and manage them. And that's it. And then you create the event, and then you share the link with everyone you want claim that float. And everyone has that special NFT, and you're all part of a cool club. And the cool part is you can create that cool club however you want. So there's no rules on how you use your floats. Whatever floats your boat. We need sound bites.
He should use that first. He should use that for all of his promo.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let me just check Slido if there's any other questions.
No other questions.
No other questions. Okay. Let me also check the office hours text chat. Okay, cool. Thanks. That clarifies it. Awesome. And yeah, Ralph, if you have any other questions, feel free to ping me. But really, it is what you make of it. So don't feel like there's any rules. Like, use it however you think works best for your community. Awesome. Well, then let's give everyone 2 minutes back. And thank you for joining this week's office hours. We may or may not have a float next time. And if we run over next time, there may or may not be the super special. We can link it here to make everyone, salivate at the thought of being able to claim such a special float. The special office hours after party float. So if you've never seen it, it's super rare. Here, I'll link it in the office hours text chat. You won't be able to claim it, but you can at least admire it. If you stick around next time, you might be able to claim this very special float. Awesome. Well, all right. I'll stop wasting your time now. I will officially say goodbye. Thanks for joining this week's office hours, and see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.